I have wept and I have fallen. Don't you worry about me. 'Cause I stood up, yes, I have grown. The pain has set me free. And like a broken record in my head.
Welcome back to Conscious Fever, hosted by Carl Price.
I ain't scared of you motherfuckers.
You are listening to Conscious Fever, hosted by Carl Price.
Either way, I don't give a damn what you think you are entitled to.
Ladies and gentlemen, the moment you've been waiting for. So listen responsibly.
It's the best of the best. It's the one and only DJ Ice, Louisville's coldest DJ.
Hey, welcome to Conscious Fever here on Ice Entertainment Television and Conscious Fever Radio. Let me make sure I am live on the air. Hey, welcome to the show tonight. I am Carl Price, your host here on Ice Entertainment Television and Conscious Fever Radio. Bring that camera just a tad bit closer to me, if you don't mind tonight. Yeah, look at that. Listen, thanks for joining me tonight here on Conscious Fever. Always sponsored by Ice Entertainment Television, and you can listen to us on Conscious Fever Radio, on Anchor TV, and all that stuff. Listen, thanks for being here. I had to share this to my personal page. I'm not sure what's going on with the studio mechanics here, so if you're watching us on Conscious Fever, that's probably the only place you can watch us on, except for YouTube, Twitter, etc., Twitch, yada yada. So anyway, I am here tonight. Got a lot of things to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about a lot of things tonight, so I hope that you all will be patient with me tonight, because it's just me, as they say. It's just me. But anyway, I'm trying to stop with these fillers. You know, I watched this video about fillers, and it said, you know, be careful with your fillers, stop your fillers, etc., and some critics said that as well. So I'm going to try to do that. Anyway, this is the Conscious Fever Show, live from Louisville, Kentucky. On this side, live from Louisville, Kentucky. We're going to talk about a number of things tonight. Let me see. Let me get my notes here, my cheat notes. The Rittenhouse trial, the Arbery trial, Julius Jones and Malcolm X, the two that were accused. The two that were accused of killing Malcolm X were exonerated. So we're going to talk about those things tonight. But we're also going to talk about, with some video, we're going to check out Kyle Rittenhouse's Grammy-winning performance of his act. And we're just going to talk about basically the United States on trial against the white privilege defense. The privilege defense. I mean, let's just call it what it is. Because when you listen to these defenses, the only defense that either of these individuals could put forward is to appeal to the passions of some people who are going to exonerate them and acquit them simply because they feel like that maybe they should. I mean, think about this in the Rittenhouse trial, right? He's taking a firearm, a young, underage kid taking a firearm, not yet an adult, taking a firearm to a Black Lives Matter, that's a dog whistle for the jury, event to keep order. Once again, that's just, some of that, it's just a counterpart to this whole ideal of this privilege defense. So I'm going to talk to y'all tonight about this privilege defense, and I hope y'all can stay with me just to get a handle of what it is I'm talking about. But before I do that, I want to talk about somebody. I want to talk about somebody that was very, very special to me. This young man passed away at the tender age of not yet 70. His name is John Stewart, John W. Stewart. John passed away, I think it was pronounced dead on Halloween. And oh my God, he was more than a mentor to me. He was a friend. He was like a big brother and truly a mentor. I want to give you a bit of history about my relationship with John Stewart. John Stewart grew up here in Louisville, Kentucky, in the California area. That's a neighborhood here in Louisville. And was really a jack of all trades before he became a lawyer. I think he played in the band at Mayo High School. In addition to playing in the band, John also, I think, played football. Somebody gave him the nickname of White Shoes. So he, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be doing here, but I went out. Okay, but I'm gonna do my best to do it. But anyway, he played football. He was, and he was a brilliant lawyer. But here's a story. I remember when I was my first year out of law school, the summer of my first year out of law school, all of my colleagues, mostly white colleagues, pretty much all white colleagues. For a long time, I was the only African American in my full-time law school class up at Chase Law School outside of Cincinnati. And I remember walking, because I didn't have the money. I think I took the bus to 18th and Jefferson, went to this one law firm, black law firm, and asked for a job. And they said, no, why don't you go downtown and work with those white boys? I mean, literally, one of the black lawyers actually told me that. So not having enough money really to catch the bus, I just simply took that walked those 18 blocks downtown, and somebody led me to John Stewart, to this man here, led me to John Stewart's office. I went in there. It was him and Ernie Jasmine, who would later become the only elected black Commonwealth's attorney here, which is a high-level district attorney here in the 3rd Judicial District here in Kentucky. But he gave me my first job as a law clerk. And John did something a few months ago that really touched me. He called me one day and said, man, I'm sending you something. I said, well, what are you sending me? He said, I'm not going to tell you until you open it. But what he sent me was the very first memo that I wrote for him as a law student. And that's the type of person John was. John was going through some paperwork, and he wanted to, he just wanted me to have that. So listen, may he rest in peace. For all of y'all who knew John, I just want to let y'all know that there is going to be a Louisville memorial service. You see it there Saturday, November 20th. That's this Saturday at 12 noon. Now, although it starts at 12 noon, actually it starts at 10:30 for friends and family. So if you were a friend of John Stewart and a family member of John Stewart, I'm sure you already know about this, but definitely if you were a friend, if you were a former client, because he was one of the best criminal defense attorneys this state has ever seen, a former prosecutor, a good prosecutor, and man, may he rest in peace. And you see the KSI stuff on there because this is what happened, y'all, for those who don't know, and I'm sure it is okay for Dapper and Brandy for me to say this, but John was actually, I don't know if y'all noticed that, but let me go back and show you that. If you notice that, obviously he's a member of Kappa Alpha Psi, right? But there's a pin there, and it's a Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated 50-year member. So from what I understand, John was actually at that ceremony. He was at the white coat ceremony. Apparently in Kappa Alpha Psi, when you achieve the status of being a member of Kappa Alpha Psi, an active member of Kappa Alpha Psi, paying member of Kappa Alpha Psi for 50 years, then you are given a white coat. And so he was at this, from what I understand, he was at the white coat ceremony, and his wife was putting the coat on him, and he collapsed. John, man, we're gonna miss you. We're gonna miss you dearly, man. He was a true man of God, and he was one of the best lawyers and a friend of mine. So if you're a friend of John Stewart's, just remember that if you're around in the Louisville area, the Louisville Memorial Service is going to be Saturday, November the 20th at 12 noon at Mount Vernon Missionary Baptist Church, which is at 3640 Cane Run Road here in Louisville. a great man, really a great man, John Stewart. So anyway, we're going to talk about some stuff tonight. Let's just get into talking about some of this stuff tonight. And the first person I want to talk about tonight, if it's okay with you all, I want to talk about what the governor for the state of Oklahoma did today, pretty much at the witching hour, right? So the death sentence, as you all know, for Julius Jones was reduced to life in prison by the Oklahoma governor today. And this came out of Oklahoma City. The Oklahoma governor, Kevin Stitt, has finally, at the witching hour, the last minute pretty much, commuted the death sentence of the inmate. We know him now as Julius Jones, who his case, for most of y'all know, it drew the attention of numerous sports figures such as the NBA stars Russell Westbrook, Blake Griffin, Trae Young. But Stitt, the governor of Oklahoma, commuted Jones's sentence on today. This was the date of his scheduled execution, but he commuted it. He commuted his sentence, his death sentence, to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. And maybe another governor down the road will come pass and actually decide to make him eligible for parole, because as you know, this man has maintained his innocence from day one, as well as his family's. But his case drew widespread attention after it was profiled in The Last Defense, and that was a 3-episode documentary produced by actress Viola Davis that aired on ABC in 2018. Since then, a number of sports figures with Oklahoma ties, including Westbrook, Griffin, and Young, have urged the Governor Stitt to commute Jones's death sentence and spare his life. For instance, the former Oklahoma quarterback Baker Mayfield spoke out in support of Jones on Wednesday, saying, "I have been trying to get the facts stated and the truth to be told for a while, but it is tough to think about. Tried and tried. It is a shame that it has gotten this far. We are 24 hours away. It is tough. Hopefully God can intervene and handle it correctly and do the things he needs to do." And I think that was a tweet, if I'm not mistaken. Let me show y'all this tweet from, I guess it's from, we have it somewhere. This is going to come back to me. Okay, here we go. How about right here? God is great. This is what Baker Mayfield tweeted afterwards. God is great. Thank you to everybody that prayed and continue to pray at Julius, Oklahoma. And of course, he tweeted that out today. So kudos that something was done right. I don't know the story of Julius Jones, but it is a little coincidental sometimes and odd when a lot of people get behind some of these cases, and they just don't do it just to do it. I mean, there's really something there. This man said he didn't do it, and I know there's evidence that has to be put forth and all of that. But I know we're not going to talk about the criminal justice system and how much we really trust the criminal justice system in this place we call America. We'll talk about that some other time. But in any case, I suspect that God has in fact intervened and saved this man's life, and I hopefully one day, we would really get to know the story. So let's switch to something else. Something else also happened today. I don't know why these things come in twos, right? 2 trials on where the privileged defense has been asserted, and then 3 black men exonerated. Well, not really. Well, 2 exonerated, but some basically, y'all know what I'm getting at, right? This, one's life is spared, and then 2 are actually exonerated after served a whole lot of time in the penitentiary. But 2 men exonerated over the assassination of Malcolm X, right? The names are Muhammad A. Aziz and Khalil Islam. They had protested their innocence since the civil rights leader was killed in 1965. Now, the district attorney has said that they were the victims of a historic miscarriage of justice. The New York District Attorney, Cyrus Vance, announced on Wednesday, as yesterday, that his office was throwing out the convictions of those two men who had been found guilty of the 1965 assassination of the civil rights leader Malcolm X. Vance said that Muhammad Aziz and Khalid Islam had been the victims of a historic miscarriage of justice. I just said that. These men did not get the justice that they deserved, Vance said. In an interview with the New York Times, what we can do is acknowledge the error, the severity of the error. According to the New York Times, a 22-month investigation conducted jointly by the Manhattan District Attorney's Office and lawyers for the two men found that prosecutors, the FBI, and the New York Police Department withheld evidence that could have exonerated the two men. This is a classic example of law enforcement engaging in confirmation bias, according to Gene Rossi, an attorney in Washington, D.C., who previously worked for the United States Justice Department. Rossi told DW that they had three subjects, Mr. Halim, Mr. Aziz, and Mr. Islam. And they focused on them like a laser beam, and they ignored another conspirator named William Bradley. So it was a comedy of errors that resulted from the lack of a culture to provide exculpatory evidence. Aziz, who's now 83, was sentenced to life in prison in 1966, but was released in 1985. Also sentenced to life, Islam was released in 1987 and died in 2009. Both had consistently maintained their innocence in the slaying of the influential black leader. In a statement, Aziz said that the events that brought us here should never have occurred. Those events were and are the result of a process that was corrupt to its core, one that is all too familiar, even in 2021. He said, while I do not need a court, prosecutors, or a piece of paper to tell me I am innocent, I am glad that my family, my friends, and the attorneys who have worked and supported me all these years are finally seeing the truth we have all known, officially recognized, he added. Right? Well, there you go. How many times are we going to continue to hear this, right? How many times are we going to continue to, how many more years of our lives are we going to hear individuals being released from the penitentiary because they were wrongly convicted? I don't know. Honestly, y'all, I don't know, but I would tell you that I hope to hear many, many more if they exist, and I'm sure they exist. But it sometimes becomes a dead, just a scratched record, right? But it's a scratched record we probably want to hear. Be right back.
This is Carlos RTG Dixon, and you're watching Conscious Fever.
Hit the camera, son. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, all right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Like,
Get freaky with it. You know what I'm saying? Get freaky. Let them know it's the champion talking to you. All right. 3.
You want me to say at the end of that? So you like, this is Carlos RTG Dixon, and then, just be like,
Yeah.
Okay.
You got it. He's a natural. 3, 2.
This is Carlos RTG Dixon, WBC champ. You here with me.
You forgot the Conscious Fever.
I didn't know if you want me to say that part. I'm like, what you want me to say next?
Oh, my man. With me. Yeah.
Just start jumping.
This me right here. You better watch
Jumping at the
Conscious
camera.
Fever, or my next fight is with you or something.
Yeah. Okay.
Whatever you want to do.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to say that again. I'm going to say this is Carlos RTG Dixon, WBC champ, and I'm here at 97 to beat Conscious Fever.
No, not 97.
Not 97?
Just Conscious Fever.
Just Conscious Fever.
They don't pay us enough.
Oh, I like that. Okay. All right, just Conscious Fever. Tune in. Boom.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Ready? 3, 2.
I'm Carlos RTD Dixon, WBC champ. Tune in live. Conscious Fever. And if you're not in this Conscious Fever audience, then you're living your life unconscious. Tune in.
You are listening to Conscious Fever, hosted by Carl Price.
Get enough of you. Bright sneakers on, getting ready for a flashback. Time keeps moving on, looking at you, feeling like I could never get enough of you. And I could never get enough of you. I could never get enough of you.
You are listening to Conscious Fever, hosted by Carl Price.
Hey, welcome back to Conscious Fever here on Ice Entertainment Television, Conscious Fever Radio. Thanks for joining me here tonight, live in Louisville, Kentucky. As always, I want to talk about something else that took place today. It was the state of Georgia versus the white privilege defense. But before I do that, I do want to acknowledge this comment. Let me just get my stuff together here. I do want to acknowledge this comment here. Says he was a great defense attorney, talking about John Stewart. Awesome in closing argument. I would always remember what he did for me. Right on, right on, right on. Brother Yah, right on, right on, right on. Yeah, so once again, thanks for joining us tonight. Let's talk about the Arbery trial. Let's talk about the state of Georgia versus the so-called, I call it the white privilege defense. Others may call it the privilege defense. But if you think about what's going on in these two trials, it may just blow you away. So let's talk about Arbery. The Arbery, one of the defendants, I think it's Travis McMichael, defends pulling a gun on Arbery, right? After being accused, and this is, of course, y'all, after being accused of murdering Arbery, this man actually took the witness stand to tell, quote unquote, his side of the story. He says, I want to get my side of the story of McMichael. My side of the story. I want to explain, he said, what happened, and to be able to say what happened from the way I seen it, right? I want y'all to keep in mind what's really going on here, right? I mean, just think about this for a second. These men in the Arbery trial almost got away with this. They almost got away with this, right? And the fact that it's just, well, let me just say this. It's mind-boggling to believe that these men actually believe, with the video testimony and all this other stuff, that they have a defense to this, right? Now, I understand this ideal of the Staniel law, citizens arrest law in Georgia at the time, which the legislature appealed back in February or March of last year, right after this incident happened. But just think about the gall that you have to say, I'm going to sit in front of 12 people and tell them this story. You know, I precipitated all of this. And now I thought I was scared for my life. Y'all, that is nothing but privilege. That is privilege shit. That is dog whistle shit. And if y'all don't see it, it's going to come down every time. And then you go over to Wisconsin and you see the same thing. It's just like, I was going to a Black Lives Matter event and I just felt like that I was in harm's way. So I killed two people. I killed somebody, right? Interesting stuff. So anyway, but during this man's testimony, McMichael and defense attorneys spoke about a number of things, including his time in the Coast Guard and his relationship with his parents. One of the key points of his testimony revolved around the state of the Satilla Shores neighborhood leading up to Arbery's death. McMichael told defense attorneys that he had grown concerned about car break-ins, thefts, and suspicious persons in the neighborhood. In his words, the neighborhood was on edge. Now, remember that when this first happened and when they finally arrested these guys, all of the crime statistics in the neighborhood came out and they were not this bad, right? But as a result, McMichael said that he spoke to several of his neighbors about crime in the area, and many of them told him that they installed security cameras around their homes. It was a common occurrence at the point, McMichael said, according to USA Today. It was concerning that nothing was done concerning that nothing was done, concerning that you have to have that constant presence. After describing the tenor of the neighborhood in early 2020, McMichael spoke about the events of February 23rd, 2020. Specifically, he touched on his decision to point his gun at Ahmaud Arbery as Greg McMichael and William Bryan cut off each side of the road. Arbery allegedly ran back towards Travis McMichael, who picked up his shotgun and pointed it at Arbery. This defendant claims that he did this in hopes of escalating the situation. What situation? The damn situation that he caused, right? When you pull a weapon on someone, he said, from what I've learned in my training, usually that tells me to back off. He told the court that, right? And this is according to the Reuters news agency. It is unclear how McMichael's testimony will play now in the eyes, ears, and hearts and minds of the jurors. But it is clear that it has not played well in the court of public opinion. A number of observers, ranging from civil rights attorney Lee Merritt to best-selling author, basically took issue with McMichael's testimony. His privileged testimony. Y'all, this is privileged testimony. Y'all got to keep up with this. Interesting stuff. So here's what I want to do. I want to do this before we get too far. I want y'all to hear some of his testimony. Then I'm going to come back and I want to talk about some of his testimony. Just check this out just for a second. Uh-oh. Okay, y'all, I'm not sure what. Let me come back to the screen here. Where am I? Okay, I'm not sure what actually happened to the sound there. But we had the sound earlier. I'll try to play it at some point. Maybe if it comes back. I don't know. But in any case, I'm going to take some of this, if y'all would just allow me to. Let me just get to a different screen here. And let me see. But basically, and if we hear his testimony, we hear his testimony. But basically, what this guy was doing was basically justifying why he shot Arbery, right, after he instigated the whole thing. I mean, think about this. I want y'all to really think very, very hard about this, because it's really not that hard to perceive what is actually going on. Keep in mind the makeup of the jury, right? I think there's only one black person on the jury, and that doesn't necessarily matter for real. But it is helpful to feel like that there's a diverse presence on the jury, right? But what he describes here is something Very, very interesting, right? Because one of the things that he does is basically he is sitting there in front of this mostly white jury, basically pronouncing his privilege to engage in this bullshit that killed Arbery. I mean, y'all, I don't know if I'm the only one that's actually getting this. And I do apologize for the sound because I really wanted you all to hear the sound of this. And I may, whoops, I can't do that. I may just keep it going just so we'll, get the full Monty of what we're doing here. But in any case, the bottom line is that this is a prime example of a person who believes that he is privileged. What these trial lawyers are doing, they are saying that, listen, you killed a man. And because you killed a man, and because it's very clear now that the whole world knows that you killed a man, that you had no justification for killing, the only way you can get out of this is to talk to people who look like you, right? People who own guns like you, and people who will believe the bullshit that you're going to say, right? That I thought I was making a citizen's arrest, right? We always double back to that one question, right? And that one question, let me see if I can turn this testimony up, but that one question is always, if he were black, if Arbery was white, would this have happened, right? Let me see if I can get the, I'm going to see if I can get
Battery 100%.
some of the sound here. No, he said, I'm not getting that. But in any case, one of the things that we all need to keep in mind is that, there are privileges that the law affords individuals. And one of those privileges is the privilege of self-defense, right? To do harm to another person. But this self-defense is not because I own a gun, I can do this, right? So I'm sorry that we can't hear that sound because I really need the sound on the next one. And hopefully the sound will come through on the next one. But the point is that some of what this man was talking about was amazingly brazen in what he was talking about. I mean, and the words that he was using. And actually, at one point, he tried to begin crying. And remember when this first happened, they told a lie. Right? So it's amazing how we're getting these crimes. But that's what trial lawyers do, right? Sometimes that's what criminal defense attorneys do. Yeah, I know you can't hear him, Mr. Goodman, and that's by design. We're not trying to let you hear him at this point. But in any case, that's what criminal defense attorneys do, right? They say, who can I talk to? Who would hear my story? It doesn't matter if the whole world doesn't hear it and it doesn't matter if the whole world doesn't agree. The only thing that matters is that if those 12 people will buy that bullshit, then these guys get off, right? Interesting stuff. I'm gonna make a run again. I mean, let me just before I make a run, let me just look at some of these. There's another comment there that I want to post. Where are my comments? Okay, let's look at this next comment here, and it says crying is a part of the defense. Crying is a part of the defense. Yes. I agree that crying is a part of the defense, and that's the unfortunate thing, right? That is truly the unfortunate thing here. And that seems to always be the case, but they always want, I mean, let's just call it what it is, right? I mean, these are defense attorneys, and one way to appeal to a jury is to cry. Is to cry, especially if you're talking to the people who are more perceptive to what it is you're trying to say. If anybody who's perceptive to that bullshit, then the crying was like, well, he cries, so he must have been telling the truth. But hopefully the jurors will reflect back, all the way back. Hopefully they will reflect all the way back to February 2020 when this happened. Remember, all of that plays a part here, right? Because the district attorney, the police, nobody agreed in that town to do anything until it became public of how ridiculous it was. So anyway, that's one part of it. Listen, stay with me. I want to talk about Kyle Rittenhouse next.
Safety, but they're there to contain us, to brutalize us and murder us, because they have their orders to do so. Police in our community.
Power to determine the destiny of our black community. 2, want full employment for
Order 3, may need to devise some kind of method or strategy to offset some of the events or
they had all the resources and the FBI, the police, and they really meant to send me to the death chambers in order to make a point.
Oh, they know me. We find them in that town. If I'm going to grow in that town, and was I working with some white? There was really no middle class.
Get them all off me. Say down for L, she a cause to see. 4 cars deep, we'll come through on a lane night. Chicken spot, wings and fries, we call that a day night. Lights on, so out, I don't have no stage fright. Knew that I was built for this forever, ever, ever.
You are listening to Conscious Fever, hosted by Carl Price.
We ride bands, 10 times 10, all my friends, this for real.
Hey, welcome back. Conscious Fever here. I'm Carl Price on Ice Entertainment Television, Conscious Fever Radio. Thanks for joining me tonight once again. I want to talk about something else here. I want to talk about the state of Wisconsin now versus the white privilege defense, right? Many of you all know that Kyle Rittenhouse, the jury concluded today its third day of deliberations without a verdict. This is in his homicide trial. They haven't reached a verdict yet. I don't know what that means. In law terms, I can tell you sometimes the prosecution gets nervous. Sometimes the defense gets nervous. So we don't know where this jury is going. We know the makeup of the jury, and that may be problematic. And we know the crazy judge, right? The nutty judge. And this trial has had a lot of stuff, right? It's featured this judge's decision to ban MSNBC from the courtroom from allegedly following the jury bus. I don't know if y'all knew that today, right? The 12-person jury made up of 5 men and 7 women deliberated from 9 to 4 today, Central Time, on 5 felony charges related to the killing of 2 people and the wounding of another during last year's unrest in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Jurors have been deliberating for an estimated 23 hours total on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. The jury is expected to resume the deliberations at 9 a.m. Central Time on Friday. In court on Thursday, today, Kenosha County Circuit Court Judge Bruce Schroeder said a man was driving about a block behind the jury. And I don't know if y'all have actually seen this guy, but here he is, right? This guy here. And I'm going to refer to him as our official. I don't know if y'all would agree with me on this. Does this guy look like Tweety Bird or not? Check this out. Anyway, I'm just curious as to whether y'all think he looks like Tweety Bird. I think he looks like Tweety Bird. Just some interesting stuff here. But anyway, the state of Wisconsin, that judge by the way, his name is Bruce Schroeder. He said a man was driving about a block behind the jury bus on Wednesday evening and went through a red light. The man was pulled over by police and told them he worked for NBC News and had been instructed by his boss to follow the jury bus. That's what the judge said. This judge is kind of nuts, y'all, right? He said no one from MSNBC would be permitted into the building for the rest of the trial as the matter is under further investigation. He said following the jury bus is an extremely serious matter and will be referred to authorities for further action. Okay. Interesting, right? Be referred for further action. I don't know. I'm gonna try this again. I'm gonna see if y'all can hear this. Then y'all could tell me that y'all can hear it. But if you can't hear it,
battery 100%.
Then that's cool too. But I'm gonna see if I can hear this.
Stepping forward.
Okay, check this out.
Joshua Zeminski. He steps towards me with a pistol in his hand, and as I'm walking towards to put out the fire, I drop the fire extinguisher and I take a step back.
Okay. When you step back from Mr. Zeminski, what's your plan?
My plan is to get out of that situation and go back north down Sheridan Road to where the car source lot number 2 was.
And did you get back? Were you able to go in a northerly direction?
I wasn't.
Describe what happens.
Once I take that step back, I look over my shoulder and
this guy here, y'all.
Mr. Rosenbaum was now running from my right side. And I was cornered from in front of me with Mr. Zeminski.
Look at this fake. Look how fake this is, y'all. I want y'all to pay attention to this.
There were 3 people right there.
Take a deep breath, Kyle.
That's what I... That's where I run.
What kind of bullshit is this?
You can just relax for a minute, sir. We're going to take a break. About
a break?
10 minutes, and please don't talk about the case.
What?
Read, watch, and listen to any comments.
Okay, y'all. Okay, I got to pause that for a second. Let me just pause that for a second. Okay. This can't be happening, right? Y'all know that there's no damn way that he was crying. No way that he was crying, right? Right? Listen to this again. Just check this out again. I want to make sure that I'm not missing anything. Check this out.
There were 3 people right there.
Take a deep breath, Kyle.
That's what I...
Yeah, give him a round of applause and laugh.
That's where I run.
We're going to just take time for our break anyway. You can just relax for a minute, sir. We're going to take a break about 10 minutes, and please don't talk about the case.
Y'all, this shit is real. Let me tell you what he's doing. in the event that y'all don't know, for those of you who actually don't know, this young man was toting firearms, left the state of Illinois to go to Wisconsin, Kenosha, Wisconsin, and keep order, right? I want you to remember that. Keep order. Whatever the hell that means, to keep order. And this is something that some people do when they really believe that they have the authority to do it. And where does this authority come from? I mean, there are people who wake up every day and say, I have the authority to give the person that just sped through or ran through a stop sign a traffic ticket, okay, when they really don't, okay? So that's kind of the privileged defense, and that's the privileged thinking. I can arm myself. I can go to Kenosha, Wisconsin. I can, because somebody told me that Black Lives Matter is protesting there because of what has happened with Jacob Blake, right? And I get there and I can kill some people, right? And I can claim self-defense, right? And then I can come and hire some attorneys, and they'll pick an all-white jury. And the white jurors, particularly the women on the jurors, would see me just like they would see their son. And it would be difficult for them, in their mind, to convince themselves that they could put their son in jail. It's called privilege, y'all. That's what we call it. It's called privilege. It's privilege defense stuff. And that's just some of the stuff that, and it's all kind of a form of a dog whistle. Let me get some more comments here. Get the F out of here, okay? I think I know what that means, so I'm just going to leave that right there. Here's another one. He is trying hard to do that. Yeah, he was. I thought he was actually going to get an Academy Award. He need to go back home and practice. He need more rehearsal. Yeah, I agree. I really can't believe that this guy, actually undertook to actually try to act that out. But that's what criminal defense attorneys do when they don't have anywhere else to go. I remember times where there's one criminal defense attorney who, in his closing argument, he was just crying. He just break out crying. Because sometimes tears work. And if psychologically you see that defendant as your son, they might work. Now, I'm not going to say he's going to get exonerated or he's going to get acquitted. I hope to God that he doesn't. And I hope they can see through all this bullshit. But this is what this is, man. The state of Wisconsin versus the white privilege defense. I think that's exactly what this is. And that's why we just call it what it is. We're just calling it what it is. So in any case, listen, I am about to be out of my time. And I'm sorry I showed y'all that video of Kyle Rittenhouse, because I don't want y'all to go home and seeing him. I don't think I can do that. Let me see if I can. And I don't know if this is the video, though. Let me go back to this video. Let me see if I can get back to this. I'm going to try to get back to this video. I'm going to show y'all something. Because in one of these videos, as he's doing that, his eyes actually go over to the jury, right? He's like, and then he does that. Like he looks over there to see if they're still looking at him. Yeah, it's obvious. So anyway, but my whole point here tonight is that as we come into this election season, I want y'all to remember this ideal of dog whistles, right? And a dog whistle is, y'all know what it is, right? It is a sound that people make that only resonates with so many people. Only so many people can hear it. That's why they call it a dog whistle, right? So if you're in the park and somebody's blowing this thing and you can't hear it, but the dogs respond, that we all know, obviously, that's a dog whistle, right? Anyway, y'all, I'm just making a point. Just making a point. I thought we had something with the judge here. Let me see if we do. Not that. I'm gonna find something here. Oops. I did something wrong there, y'all. I am so sorry. Let me get back, Carl. Get back. Anyway, I'm gonna find something here because I know I saw something with the judge, and y'all gotta understand that this judge is a damn nutcase. And then I'm gonna get out of here, right? And I think I may have found something
strong
with. I think I found something. Let me just let it get through. Y'all gonna have to bear with me on this one. Just bear with me just a second, okay?
These used cars may look identical, but with Carfax,
This is what happens in media, right? I can't control that because I am asking.
I always knew you were an accident.
There have been numerous.
I am asking, but I want y'all to take a look at this with the judge real quick, okay? Take a look at
Occasions during this trial where they've opened the door. The one time when they're going into Mr. Rosenbaum's prior reason he doesn't like guns, and I said something. I whispered in Mr. Krause's ear, it's because of the prior convictions. Please stop, and he did. He knows if you're going to go into something that's been excluded in a pretrial order, you better ask the court, you better get permission. This is ridiculous.
It wasn't excluded, Your Honor.
You know why it was excluded in the first place? Because it was propensity evidence. That is exactly what 90404 is designed to prevent. You're talking about his attitudes. His attitude
Tweety Bird,
is
y'all.
he wants to shoot people.
This is the Tweety Bird judge. Check it out.
I've admitted that kind of evidence in other trials when it's been appropriate. I didn't admit it
I think
in
the
this
judge
case
saw a
because
putty
to me,
cat, y'all.
what I've heard
I think
is-
I think he
By the way,
did.
Mr.
I think he saw a putty cat.
Correctly points out that just hours ago I said I had heard nothing in this trial to change any of my rulings. So why?
Testimony, Your Honor.
Pardon me?
That was before the
Don't
defense
get
testimony.
brazen with me. You knew very well. You know very well that an attorney can't go into these types of areas when the judge has already ruled without asking outside the presence of the jury to do so. So don't give me that. That's number one. Number two, this is propensity evidence. I said at the time that I made that ruling. and I'm
Anyway,
repeating
y'all,
it now.
I can go on.
I see no similarity between talking about
I can actually go on all night listening to that and watching that and how silly. Now, I would tell you. Okay, I'm sorry. Listen, I can go on all night watching that, but the point is this. The judge is right on the procedure. You know, you have to ask the judge when you think you're going into an area that may be a little volatile. But this judge is a little different, y'all. He's a little different. He's a little different. This ideal that you cannot refer to a dead person as a victim until there's been an adjudication by the court is crazy, right? But that's his rule in his court. Can't refer to a dead person as a victim until the state proves its case and gets a conviction. However, you can refer to rioters, looters, and violent people as that, even though there's not been a judicial determination of that. I don't know. Somebody said that he had a Trump support rally and cry on his cell phone as his ringtone. And he doesn't like MSNBC. He apparently has, shouted out against MSNBC. I don't know, y'all. I don't know. The world is a very different place now. Anyway, listen, I want to thank y'all for joining me tonight here on Conscious Fever, here on Ice Entertainment Television, Conscious Fever Radio. I'll be back the week after next. Next week is Thanksgiving. I'm not going to come out on Thanksgiving. I've got to kind of enjoy Thanksgiving as best I can for the first Thanksgiving without my mother after all these years. And so I have no idea where I'm going to have Thanksgiving dinner. Might just cook Thanksgiving dinner. I don't like killing animals, though, or, dealing with dead animals. So if I want to eat a turkey thinking that somebody killed it, just so it could be on my table. Might not be any turkeys. I mean, there's a shortage of everything these days. Inflation is crazy. So anyway, but I do want to wish y'all a happy Thanksgiving. I want to say thank y'all for joining me tonight. I am going to end this show the same way I came in, with just a few commercials and get out of here. In any case, join me next week. We'll do this again here on Conscious Fever, Ice Entertainment Television, Conscious Fever Radio. I am Carl Price, your host. I'll see you next week. Happy Thanksgiving to you guys. Hey, I'm Carl Price. I host Conscious Fever on Ice Entertainment Television and Conscious Fever Radio. It is a podcast, and it's only on social media. I want you to check us out. You can check us out on YouTube. And when you go to YouTube, make sure you subscribe so you know when we're coming on, and also like the page. You can also check us out on Facebook on the Conscious Fever page, and when you do, you can also like the page. You can also check us out on Mixcloud. You're just riding around in your car and just want to listen to the audio. Also on Spotify, riding around in your car, you want to listen to the audio. You can also catch us out on Twitch. We're not playing games, but you can check us out on Twitch. You can also catch us on our Twitter page at fever_show. Finally, on our webpage, www.consciousfever.com. Come join us on Conscious Fever Thursdays, the best podcast.
You are listening to Conscious Fever, hosted by Carl Price. You are listening to Conscious Fever, hosted by Carl Price on 97thebeatfm.com.
I was born by the river in a little tent. Like the river I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, but I know change gonna come. Oh yes it will. It's been too hard living, but I'm afraid to die. 'Cause I don't know what's up there beyond the sky. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh yes it is. Then I go to my brother. And I say, brother, help me please. But he wind up knocking back down on the knee. Oh, there've been times that I thought I couldn't last for long. But now I think I'm able, Father, to carry on. And it's been a long time coming, but I know
change.